A question fans have been asking for years is why Aegon the Conqueror suddenly decided to invade Westeros seemingly overnight and very much out of nowhere. House Targaryen have been on Dragonstone for 114 years by this point, and never once did they look west, despite the fact they more than had enough strength to do so. I made a video a long time ago looking at all the theories that made Aegon decide to conquer Westeros. It now looks like one of these fan theories could be proven true in House of the Dragon. It's being said that in the show, Viserys is carrying a huge secret that has been passed down from king to king. A secret he passes on to Rhaenyra when he makes her his heir. Combined with comments from the showrunners about linking the show to the threat of the White Walkers, it strongly suggests that the secret involves this in some way. The idea is Aegon the Conqueror somehow found out about the White Walker threat in the north, maybe via something like a dragon dream. He decided he needed to take Westeros, knowing the only way to stop the White Walkers was to unite the realm and, well, lots of dragons. Imagine if the White Walkers and the Long Night came when House Targaryen was at its peak, before the Dance of the Dragons. It would have been a very different story, but with so many of the elder Targaryens dead after the Dance of the Dragons, the secret was lost to time. This is until Rhaegar Targaryen rediscovers it years later, and thus begins the events which would lead to the main books. Some have questioned the logistics of such a secret being passed down from king to king for over 150 years, especially when succession gets muddy after and around Aenys and Maegor. So this video will break down how this would work, and how the information probably got passed down to Viserys, despite the logistical issues such a secret would face. The first vital point I want to make is that if Aegon knew about the White Walkers and had this secret, then it is most likely Visenya and Rhaenys did as well. Maybe even Orys Baratheon, given he was likely Aegon's half-brother, and how close they were. So Aegon tells his eldest son Aenys the secret, and Aenys then passes the knowledge on to his own heir, Aegon the Uncrowned. But then Aenys suddenly dies, and Maegor, his younger brother, takes the throne, seeing Aegon the Younger as too weak to rule. Now I think it's safe to assume the secret would have been given to Maegor via his mother, Visenya. At this point, Maegor has usurped the throne from Aegon the Uncrowned, and will then later kill him in combat above the God's Eye. After his mother's death in 44 AC, this would leave Maegor as the only person left with the secret. Now this is where it's going to get complicated. Maegor dies with no heir. So how does the secret pass on to Aegon's younger brother, Jaehaerys, if not from Maegor himself? I see there being two clear ways. The first is via House Baratheon. Now Orys Baratheon could have known the secret being so close to Aegon the Conqueror and his possible half-brother. Maybe Orys passed the secret down to his own descendants, till we get to Rhaegar Baratheon, the man who would play such a vital role in putting Jaehaerys on the throne. Maybe if the information was passed down via his ancestors, he could have passed it on to Jaehaerys. I'm not a fan of this idea, because it implies it's only passed from heir to heir. Half of House Baratheon knowing might be a bit too much. I think the best option is via Rhaenyra Targaryen, the wife of Aegon the Uncrowned. Now, before Aegon's death, he did father twin daughters with Rhaenyra. The idea is, before going into battle and being killed by Maegor, it's that Aegon possibly passed the information on to Rhaenyra, who with the instruction to pass it on to their eldest daughter when they came of age, should Maegor kill him. Another possibility, when Rhaenyra would later be forced to marry Maegor as part of the Black Brides, Maegor himself could have passed the information on to Rhaenyra. Either way, I think it's likely one of the two told her. So how does this information then get to Jaehaerys? I think Rhaenyra kept the information to herself for a long time, as she believed herself or her daughters to be the rightful queen. I think there is some truth to the idea that she was perhaps planning some kind of rebellion during her time in the Westerlands. But once she did somewhat reconcile with Jaehaerys after their mother's death, it is possible she chose that moment to pass the information on to him. I also think it's possible she chose to do it after the death of her daughter Arya. Knowing she herself would not be queen, and the realization she had no heir left to pass the information on to, she could have told her brother the secret. My next question is, who did Jaehaerys then tell? We know he must have told Viserys when Viserys was made his heir, after the Great Council of 101, but I do wonder if he ever did tell Aemon, Rhaenys the queen who never was his father, or Balon, the father of Viserys and Daemon, during his time as heir. Regardless, we know he told Viserys, and if speculation is to be believed, Viserys will then tell Rhaenyra. The end of the Dance of the Dragons will see the secret lost, with most of the adult Targaryens dead. This view of events is assuming it's only ever passed from heir to heir. For example, Aenys could have told his wife Alyssa Velaryon, who then tells Jaehaerys. But for the secret to be as secret as it seems, and for it to die during the Dance of the Dragons, very few people can know it. Now, there is a bit of my own tinfoil I want to add into this. Firstly, during Aegon's conquest, the narrative that is put forward is that Torrhen Stark heard about the Field of Fire, saw the size of Aegon's army, and mostly his dragons, and bent the knee to save his men. This is a fine explanation all on its own, but what if there was more to it than that? What if Aegon told Torrhen why he was uniting Westeros, told him about his vision of the threat from the north? If anything would compel Torrhen, a man of House Stark, it would be something like that. If anyone was going to believe Aegon, it would be Torrhen. Maybe he bent the knee to serve the greater good. It would be a very Stark thing to do. Another little bit of tinfoil I have is the idea that Jaehaerys told Alysanne, we know how close the two were and how active she was as a queen. Maybe Jaehaerys told his beloved wife. He could help explain her visits to the Night's Watch, a sudden care for their well-being, sending men to the wall, and the whole idea of the new gift, why she cared so much about fixing up and manning the castles. Maybe there was a lot more to her visit than we know. What she found when she tried to fly Silverwing over the wall is very telling. Perhaps her whole trip was partly to investigate this now old family secret. I don't know how I feel about this, as it does seem a bit convoluted. I want to see how the show deals with it before I pass any kind of judgment on it. But the point I want to make with this video is it does make sense lore-wise, and does not break it specifically. There are ways to make it work, even if it's not a perfect line from heir to heir.